Back on this past year, if you look back over your Beachbody career, what's the one must do? Whether you're a seasoned coach, whether you're a new coach, you can go wherever you want with that. What's the one must not do kind of a thing? Okay, and if you were to look back and go, man, oh man, don't do this. And if you're doing this, stop it. Okay, and then if you've got time, like if I had a do-over, if I had in golf, they'd call it a mulligan, but a do-over. So, Melanie, we're going to start with you. I just want to share this. Lots of times you put all these ladies up here. They look beautiful. They're talented. They're articulate. They're hardworking. And they always get asked the question, what's it like to be, the top 10 coach or elite coach? And when we called Melanie this year to congratulate her, it was like, well, so what are you doing right now? Are you celebrating a little bit? She says, well, I just got a load of laundry out. I'm running the kids, to preschool, to school, and it's kind of crazy around the house right now. But in reality, that's part of what life, is here. But anyway, Melanie, so congratulations on being top 10 coach, and let's ask you, what's the deep insights?
Deep insights. Okay.
And hold that mic really close to you.
Really close. Is this good?
Please.
Hi, everybody. All right, so the thing that I say is a must-do is the first book I read The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I would say that was the game changer for me. So coming from no background in network marketing, not really understanding even the business, I would say reading that book, it was just like something flipped in my mind, and I think it teed me up for basically everything that I've done in my business, from consistency to managing my time to mindset with my workouts, and that really kind of propelled me each step along the way. And it's something I refer back to when I'm working with my challengers and when I'm working with my coaches. So I would say that's like a must-do. That book was a mindset for me.
All right. So if there was, as you look at your business and as you've learned and look back and go, man, don't do this. Is there one of those things that you could identify? Behaviors.
Waste time. At the beginning, I know that a lot of time was wasted just kind of looking around at what everybody else was doing and not really putting on my blinders and saying, what do I do? And it's easy to kind of get distracted by the shiny objects and, oh, this is a good idea, let me try this. So early on, I realized I had bad time management skills, so I had to really kind of hone that in. So I did a lot of mindless scrolling, a lot of wasting my time, and if I can say tackle that first, get a good system down, that'll really help that learning curve, and you won't go through a lot of those struggles at the beginning.
Okay. Just quickly identify, when you say shiny objects, there's lots of shiny objects, but if you were to identify just a couple, what are shiny objects?
Avenues that you can promote your business, whether it is a blog or Instagram or Facebook or a like page or fit clubs. There are so many ways, and there are so many different successful ways to do your business, and so I consider those your shiny objects. Whatever you choose to do, I get this question all the time. Do I have to have a blog to be successful? No. Just pick one area, one social media outlet, and then become the master at that, and that will be your key to success.
Okay, great. Any do-overs? If you look back, is there something you say, there's probably many, but is there one that you would say, looking back, I learned I wouldn't do this again?
So I'm going to kind of twist it a different way. There was a failure that was like my defining moment. So, have you ever missed a goal or I missed leadership the first full year I was a coach. I didn't quite hit that qualification when I needed to. And so that could have been like a moment where, I could have pushed harder, I should have put in more hours, or I could have gotten myself there. But I feel like, no, that wasn't a do-over, that was a defining moment where I realized I can do this, I control myself, I control how much effort I put in, and I'm not gonna let this knock me down. I'm gonna use this as momentum to never miss another event, never miss another, thing that I wanna qualify for. And for me, it was such a mindset shift, so.
Great. All right, thanks, Melanie. Okay, Lindsay, let's move over to you. Last year's top coach. You're a 4-time top 10 coach. You've been to Tahiti, to Argentina, to Italy, and you're going to be heading off to France this year. So you've done some remarkable things, and you're one of the first coaches that I ever met. I remember meeting you back in Orlando, and I tell the story, but I remember this woman coming up to me and saying, I will be at this trip in Cabo. And I just kind of thought, okay. And then this name kept popping up, and sure enough, Lindsay Matwick, she was that woman, and she put her sights on that, and you just never stopped. Anyway, must-dos in your business.
So my must-do is constantly work on myself. If at any point a couple years ago I had said, I've got this, I've got this big business figured out, I don't need personal development anymore, I don't need to learn anything else, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, I would not be up here today. And so my must-do is never settle, never assume that you got it down, and just continue to grow. My business grows in direct proportion to how I grow on the inside. And so the way that I lead is by leading by example and constantly growing.
So just maybe building on that a little bit, as you look at, do you look at a specific area to say, here's an area that I'm not as accomplished as I would like to be, and so now I'm going to focus on this area of personal development, say, you know what, I'm going to hone this skill. How do you go about that?
I remember I always worked on my weaknesses before, and then I went to Summit when John Maxwell spoke, and he said, why would you focus on your weaknesses when you can just strengthen your strengths? And so what I took was, okay, what am I an 8 at that I could maybe become a 9? Instead of taking my 2s and becoming a 5. I'm never going to be organized. I've accepted it. I've found ways to be okay at being disorganized in a way that's never going to be like Melanie. And it's okay, it works for me. And I'm thankful that I can say, you guys don't have to completely change the way that you are to be up here. You can figure out a way to be up here, being the best you can be in that area, but also strengthening the areas you're naturally good at. So that's what I focus on, is making my strengths even stronger.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, because oftentimes we look at our weaknesses and we invest so much time trying to make that good, and that's not what your talents, your skill sets are. Go what gives you passion, where you're really good, and then someone said, do what you do best, hire the rest, or find someone that can do that. If you had a chance to share, okay, so I don't do this. If you look at some of your newer coaches around you and say, here's a specific behavior I see that is where they're not getting traction.
So you all know your goal is to help people, and every single person you bring in, you're like, gosh, I see so much for them. I want this for them so bad. And there's been a lot of times where I wanted it more than they did. And one of the hardest lessons for me to learn was that I couldn't help someone want to help themselves. I can speak life into them, I can try my best to lead them by example, but at the end of the day, it's their choice if they succeed. So my one thing would be knowing that you can never make that decision for someone. All you can do is lead the way and spend the time with the people who are investing what you're going to invest back into them, meeting them halfway.
Okay, good. Any do-overs? You can rephrase the question like Melanie did if you want.
I actually signed up as a coach over the phones back in October 2009, and I got the box in the mail, and back then, you guys know my story, I think a bartender struggling, and I got the box and I looked inside of it, and it was all this information. We used to get a lot of stuff, and I was like, ooh, I don't have time for that, I need to go make money. So I put it behind my desk, and it sat there for 9 months, and then 9 months later is when I started the business. So I always think back on that. I know, God, that's perfect timing. So I'm appreciative of that. When I started, it was the right time, but sometimes think, dang, I could have started 9 months earlier and not been struggling the way I was.
It's worked out okay though, right? So far? I mean, it hasn't been all bad?
It's been all right.
All right. Okay, good. All right, Lori, a newcomer to the Elite 10. You've been in the business 3 years. You're from Allen, Texas. Go ahead. You know the question. Must do. Keep that mic up close.
So, one of the things I think that I initially struggled with was more believing in myself. And so, kind of like what they were saying, I really think that personal development is such an important part. And it's not just that, but it's the personal development every single day. Like, you can't do it once a week once a month. You can't just do maybe 5 minutes of a book, audio. It's something that I've learned that it really has to be an everyday, consistent type of thing. You know, you have to show up in our business every single day, and I think that putting that personal development into you, because we pour ourselves out to everybody, and I feel like every time that I am struggling with my business or I'm struggling with my personal life, it's because I'm so empty, because I've poured myself out so much over and over again, and I've yet to fill myself back up. And so I think that people can do that, whether it's you do it with daily devotionals or you do it with the books or with, you know, any type of personal development. But the days that I do the little quick 5 minutes, or, you know, I'll say, oh, I'll just do it later, are the times I think it's really more, I struggle. And so I found that the more that I've done it now, and the more that I just add it into my everyday life, when I'm in the car, or when I'm just getting ready in the mornings, or when I'm, you know, just sitting in the kitchen cooking, I just try to have something playing, and you just, whether you're totally paying attention to it or not, it's going into your mind, and you'll take little bits and pieces out of it. And I think that, you know, especially over the past, you know, year and a half or so, has been one of the biggest things that's helped me.
Yeah. I think particularly as your business begins to grow, as you just shared, you invest a lot of time in other people, and you absolutely have to keep investing time in yourself. Part of that is just because you keep growing, but you do give out a lot, so you've got to take time to fill your own reservoir. We got stuff going on over there. We good? Okay. So Lori, looking back quickly, anything that you kind of look at and go, boy, you know, something I wish I could have done differently to my business?
A lot of it was kind of towards the beginning. I initially signed up as a discount coach. I never had any intention of really doing the business. And so my accountability was more just posting on Facebook just for myself, because I had so many comments, so many people saying, oh, you're never going to finish that, you're not going to do it. And I worked such long hours, and it would be really late at night, so that's when I would check in. But what I realized is that people never really knew I was a coach. And so looking back now, I wish that I would have came out of the closet, that I would have made that public announcement, you know, saying, this is what I'm doing, this is what I believe in, and not being embarrassed of it. Because I think, you know, like we all get ridiculed, we'll all get comments, we'll all get people talking about what we're doing and this silly little, you know, dream that we have. And I think that I missed doing that, and I felt like it kind of, not delayed things, but it just made it a little bit harder for when I was ready to jump all in, because I hadn't put it out there the way that I felt that I should have initially.
Okay. Any do-over moments as you look back, other than maybe jumping in faster and embracing, you know, who you were?
I really think it's back to that personal development, because I didn't really do it in the beginning. You know, to be totally honest, I might have, you know, listened to a self-help thing on the way to work, but it wasn't really anything that I felt helps change me. And I know we're born with qualities. Some are better leaders than others, but I feel like it's more of a trait that you learn than you just have. And so I wish that I would have done it earlier, more of the leadership type of books on how to not just help myself, but how to help my team. And, you know, because I didn't understand and I didn't know how to do it. And I felt like I wasn't leading because I just didn't know how. So I wish that I would have done those types of things earlier, so that it kind of would have more trickled down and helped them. Obviously, they've done great, but I just still feel like I could have given more of myself had I done that sooner.
Okay. Favorite personal development book? Do you have one?
Right now, it's You're a Badass.
It's mine too.
It's what?
Woo!
You're a Badass.
I love that.
What'd you say? What'd you call me? I got it. Okay, moving on. Amy, two-time Elite 10. You went with us to Italy last year. You brought Kevin along, and we lost Kevin every time we turned around. Kevin was there. He's down here. We can see him right now. We go, we're moving everybody, and we look around and we go, where's Kevin? Where's Kevin? So this year we've implanted a chip, and we're good to go. But anyway, congratulations. And what are the must-dos in your business?
Must-do. I mean, you guys are going to hear a lot of repeat things on this panel. It's really the same stuff, you know, that you really know you should be doing. Wow, my hair looks really frizzy. And there's a huge screen here. It's really distracting.
Boy, you're right. It is frizzy today. I'm just looking at that. Wow.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Must do for your business. I really feel like you need to put yourself first. I feel like a lot of times people feel like they need to be out there, you know, being everything to everyone. But the thing about your business is that you are your business. And so if you're making yourself a priority and just living that out loud and just, you know, making, just being really true to you and making sure that you're just letting other people in is a must do. Like, you can't hide, you can't do things kind of like half in, half out. You have to be all in with this. You have to be all in with your lifestyle, with how you live it. Everybody you talk to needs to know what you're doing. You know, it's just like any profession. It's just like when somebody goes to school and they're a doctor, like, they're a doctor and everybody knows they're a doctor. They don't hide that they're a doctor, you know. And if we're ever gonna make the Carl's vision come to fruition where everybody has a Beachbody coach, everybody needs to know that you're one and that's your profession. And I really feel like it's a must do to really understand that this is a career and that you need to act like it.
So it's interesting, as I look at this group, I think there's some of you that have particularly done a phenomenal job of kind of creating your own story, really identifying your sweet spot in this business. Amy, you're certainly one of those, I think, that just kind of has embraced, here's who I am and here's how I do it. How did you go about doing that? Because I think there's a lot of people out here that go, well, yeah, you guys have all figured this thing out, but how did you get to that sweet spot of
Well, it's been 4 years, you guys. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's been a lot of, you know, things I've heard up here already. I did a lot of watching what other people were doing and trying to be this person and trying to be that person and trying to be this person, and when I was finally just like, you know, you guys have probably felt this when you follow somebody or top coach and you try to do what they're doing and it feels kind of icky, and it's because you're not being true to yourself. And I think that when I just started putting on my blinders, like, you know, Melanie mentioned, and just really focusing on who I am and figuring that out and getting my story out there, was when people were like, oh, you know, who's this? And they really started to gravitate towards me because I became, you know, more true to myself.
Okay. All right, so as you look at coaches in your organization or other organizations and you say, here's something that I see that would help them accelerate their business, if only they would do this.
You really need, what I think that you really need to make personal growth, you know, a priority. And when I say personal growth, I don't just mean like reading personal development books. I mean, like, I was doing personal growth since I was 23, you know, and I started doing self-help books when I started with Beachbody. And I really feel like the biggest projection, like, for me out the cannon was when I started going to total immersion seminars and started really engulfing myself in the lifestyle of somebody who's investing personal growth into their life, not just somebody who's putting on an audiobook and then forgetting about it when they get out of the car. I think there's a big difference between listening and applying personal development, personal growth.
Okay, great. Any do-over moments? Do-over moments you look at?
Yes.
Do you want to share?
So many, but I'll focus on one. I was really, the first time I really hit a wall with my business at the end of my second year. I was almost about, I don't think a lot of people know this, but I was about to go back to waitressing, and I was already a full-time coach, and I was getting so frustrated because my income wasn't growing. And I know a lot of people would have quit, and I was determined, and I realized, why go get a job when I could just recommit to my business and making my business work? So I came out of a personal development seminar, and I really had to just stop. First of all, I had to stop holding everybody's hand on my team and wanting so much for them to be successful, but I also had to start talking about the business, you guys. I had to start talking about the business, not just challenge groups and losing weight and fun little things, you know, like, I had to be a business person. And I think when I got out of my, you know, my limiting beliefs that I couldn't be a businesswoman and I couldn't help people grow a business, that I started talking more about money and weird things like that, and like helping people know that they could change their life with an income opportunity as well.
So presenting more of the whole picture.
Yeah, the lifestyle that you get from being a coach.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Melissa, I think is this number 5 years as an elite coach? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Third time I know as an elite 10 coach. You went with us to Argentina, to Tahiti, going to France. So you're kind of one of the seasoned veterans here, as well, if there is such a thing. So as you look at your business, if you were to identify something, you said, this has been critical to my success.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to say congratulations for being here first. It's a huge feat. Great job. For me, if I can share anything with you, it's recruiting. I married a car guy. And from the get-go, he always told me this is a numbers game. And I'm like, it's a relationship. He's like, I know, but it's still numbers. And I've been in this business for a little over 6 years, and he's 100% right. It takes you talking to 1,000 people to probably get 100 customers. Out of those 100 customers, you're probably going to get 10 coaches. And out of those 10 coaches, you're probably going to get 1 diamond. So if you do those numbers, you realize how many people that you need to talk to in order to build yourself a strong organization with some good leaders in it. And if there's anything that I think my leaders struggle with, is they're such caring people that once they get to the point that they have a team, they get into that management mode. And like I've heard Lindsay and Amy say, they want for their coaches so bad that they spend their whole time trying to help their coaches believe in themselves. And you have to always do that to some degree, but at the same time, you have to keep recruiting, and you're always bringing in new people. So don't be afraid to talk about the business, put yourself out there. And I bet every single one of you right now can think of one person that you'd love to talk to about the business, but you're scared to. Do it. Do it, because at the very least, they're going to respect you for asking them, and you've planted that seed. So even if they're not ready at that very moment to become a coach, when they're ready, you're the person that was bold enough to ask them if they would consider it. So that's my advice.
As you look back on your career and said, here's one of the greatest growth moments for me, is there a point that you could look at it and say, this is really where I had to overcome a significant challenge to push through a flat spot or a decline that you just said, man, this was, because everyone's going to have them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I'm very self-motivated, and I always say the only person that I compete with is me. I'm very competitive with myself, and so I'm not the kind of person that needs someone to affirm me and give me that. And so at first I was kind of guilty of not doing that for my coaches because I didn't need it. It wasn't, I guess you could say your love language. I didn't need that, so I wasn't very good about doing that for my coaches. And I've learned over the past 2 years to really get to know my coaches and what pushes them and drives them. And for those that were not feeling like they were getting enough affirmation or love from me or time from me, I've switched gears and I've really given them that. And I've seen a huge difference in them because they feel recognized.
So just maybe a little bit of a switch up on some of these questions, but as you look at brand new coaches, is there one thing that a message that you just continue to try and beat into them, if you will, or repeat, so that you kind of say, defocus, get rid of the shiny moments, this is what you've got to focus on, to get traction initially?
I think Amy touched on this, but for me, I want people to want to coach, either have my coaches be they be their customers or their coaches because they just see that Beachbody has made their life better, and not just physically, not just financially, but as a whole. I always stress with people that they really need to let people know that we're a sorority, a fraternity, a church, a community, just a team. And just by surrounding yourself with like-minded, happy, healthy people, your life's going to be better. And don't always focus just on the health part or just on the business part. But as a whole, I am just a happier person because I'm surrounded by such great people. So I want them, that's what I want them to put on social media, is I'm happier now because I'm surrounded by 200 and something thousand friends that have the same vision I do.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Melissa. Anita, congratulations. First year as an Elite 10 coach. I say first year, I expect many more. Just from Florida to Grand Rapids and now down to Austin, Texas. As you look at your businesses last year, you've been with Beachbody for almost 3 years, if I'm right on that. Key learnings. Learning.
So I heard everybody's, oh, I was going to say that. Oh man, so say that part too. So, okay, I had a little time to think. And then I was like, okay, got to think about what I'm really passionate about. When I was a coach in my first and second year, I looked at Lindsay, Melanie, Amy, Lori, Melissa, and I said, I'm not them. I'm not that quality or that quality. I'm never gonna make it. That was my initial self-doubt. And like Amy said, you absolutely need to be true to who you are and never be afraid to share your story authentically with the people who you have right now following you. You are a coach for somebody out there. And my initial mistake was, wow, gosh, I'm missing that aspect. I'm missing that aspect. And I cut myself down, and then finally I said, Anita, you are Anita. Be Anita and share that. So I stopped being afraid of sharing my past, and I started sharing what made me who I am today, and what brought coaching into my life, and how every aspect of my life has been changed by the business and fitness. And through that, I naturally attracted the right people to me by being me. So if you're looking at the 10 of us and saying to yourself, I don't have that quality, there's something about her I don't have, I'm never gonna make it, you need to stop and say to yourself, I'm Lori, I'm Amy, and I'm this coach, and I'm gonna be this coach for somebody. I know at first it's very difficult and scary to share your past, but something in your life is absolutely inspiring somebody else, and your story will change somebody's life, whether it be a very small thing or a big thing like overcoming substance abuse, eating disorder, issues with family and friends, or just issues with your parents, something shaped you to who you are today. Never let the fear of being exposed or vulnerable hold you back. Use your story to change someone else's life, because we are people, we're life changers. And you have something that you can offer of value to somebody else. You have to believe that, because if you stop, you don't share that gift that you have, you're gonna get stuck. So you've gotta share your story and be true to who you are.
I was talking with a coach the other day, and she was sharing, Carl had just gotten off the phone with her, and Carl says, oh, you need to talk with this coach because she's got some great insights on the business and just tremendous enthusiasm. And she was talking about, as I started talking to her, about the concept of the technical expert and the accidental expert. I think it's from Brendan Bouchard's book. Is that and how everybody really can become an accidental expert based on the experiences they've had in their own life. And you can become an expert on that topic. You don't have to be a technical expert in this or that, but when you pull your life experiences together, you have become an expert in that arena. And if you share that in the right way, you then can become relatable to people. And I'd never heard it termed that way, but I thought, that the people that have been successful, they may not be technical experts, but they've been able to become accidental experts and be able to share that. So just one quick question, we need to move on. But so in this past year, Carl yesterday talked again a little bit about these crucial moments. And crucial moments are those moments where you look at in your career where there might be moments of risk of failure, where you might. And then we talk about our vital behaviors, but vital behaviors that take you past those moments. Is there one, and I'm actually going to save a few minutes to come back to you guys because we're expanding these questions and you got some thoughts, but quickly, did you have one of those as you made your climb to Elite 10 this year? Crucial moment and a behavior that pushed you through that?
Well, it goes back to what I initially said. I was being somebody who I wasn't for my entire first year. I was trying to be my upline sponsor. I was trying to be whoever was already in the top 10. I was not sharing where I came from. And I started to do personal development finally after a year. Don't learn from that mistake, or do learn from that mistake. Finally started reading. John C. Maxwell was my first book, and it was 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth. And he said something about, staying true to yourself. And I said, okay, I'm going to jump out there tonight on social media and share about my past with my lifestyle from before. And after that, it had so much great feedback that I was like, I'm just going to keep riding that train because it feels right. And through personal development, I started to be able to really formulate my story and to connect with people and share. And so that was really a big turning point. It was when I came out of the closet and said who I truly was. And I've continued to do that in every aspect of my life and go back to where I came from and how Beachbody has changed that and relate that to the growth of my life.
All right, good, thank you. Okay, Carly, been in the business a whopping 2 years. Outstanding, and I know you made it just a great run this year towards the Elite 10. What would you attribute your success to this past year? And what I really want to zero in on is behavior. We've talked a lot about kind of at a high level, but if you were to look at, you drill it down past the philosophy into what the behavior was that created the results.
Well, for me, top 10 happened, I kind of think, towards the end of the year because I didn't start talking about the business opportunity like you guys were saying. I was mentioning to, I think it was Jeremy on Wednesday night at the Top 10 dinner, that I didn't recruit my first non-challenger coach until the end of summer. And that was a good way past halfway throughout the year. And it wasn't because I couldn't or I didn't have people who wanted to hear about the opportunity. There's so many people, whether you think that or not. But it was because I was scared. And I hadn't quite owned my business and owned it, just it in general, being a coach. And the minute that I did, and the minute I started talking to people about the business opportunity and explaining why this opportunity has changed my life, it's inspired so many people to join me as a coach. And for me, I'm kind of known as that girl who runs a lot of challenge groups and I sell a lot of challenge packs. So going outside my comfort zone and talking about the business opportunity and talking about leadership and owning myself as me as a leader, not my upline or any of the other coaches that I absolutely look up to, was when my business finally started to change. And yeah, it hasn't even been 2 years, it'll be 2 years in May. So it's just been kind of a roller coaster. I've been hearing you guys talk about learning experiences and all of that, and I feel like it all happened in the last 9 months. So I'm trying to figure out what my learning experiences were. But to kind of compound that question that you asked about, also something that I wish I had done or started to do sooner was just simply talking about the business opportunity and not comparing myself to other people. I always tell my coaches to have blinders on and just be you and own who you are, because the minute I started to stray away from who I was losing coaches left and right because my people and my team and my coaches didn't trust me. And the minute I started just saying, hey, I kind of lost myself there for a second, but this is me, this is how I'm going to